B-Marsh Boxing, back at it with another boxing video. What's happening, world? Yes, indeed, we got to talk about this today. We got to talk about the two biggest divas in boxing. I'm going to break them down one by one. Break them down to the very last compound, you know? Now, Errol Spence and Tiofimo Lopez. Both guys right now, they're basically trying to stop fights. They're not trying to make the fights that the biggest fights in their division and the fights that we want to see, especially to get them closer to being undisputed and or being undisputed. You know what I mean? Let's start off with Tiofimo Lopez. Tiofimo Lopez, you see, this guy's now the lightweight, the guy to beat at lightweight. You know what I'm saying? He beat Lomachenko. He's on the pound for pound rankings. I don't think there's any other lightweight out there besides Lomachenko, and I personally don't think he should be in the pound for pound rankings. The guy has 2 losses now. You know, he clearly lost the fight to Tiofimo Lopez, so he should be omitted from the pound for pound list. You know what I mean? But you know, in this day and age, you know what I'm saying, with all these publications out there, nothing's sacred no more, especially the Ring Magazine pound for pound rankings. They used to be the Bible. Not so much anymore, you know what I mean? You know, and it's messed up when you got individuals with agendas who run these publications who could just claim and say that whomever they want is a pound-for-pound fighter. You know what I'm saying? So that's what it is. But Tiofimo Lopez definitely deserves to be in the pound-for-pound list. But now Tiofimo Lopez is acting like a big diva, you know what I mean? The biggest diva out there, besides Errol Spence. Them two peas in a pod, you know what I mean? Now, the reason I say Tiofimo Lopez is a big diva these days, one of the biggest, if not the biggest diva in boxing, is how the guy's moving, you know what I mean? Him and his pops, you know what I'm saying? They beat Lomachenko. Now they don't think they need to do anything else in boxing. They think they got it made. You know what I'm saying? You know, they beat Lomachenko convincingly. I want some money. Give thanks to Tiofimo Lopez. Put some paper in my pocket that night. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, the journey continues. Your job ain't done. You know, Tiofimo Lopez has been taking advice from guys like Max Kellerman. The same week that he beat the man Lomachenko, Max Kellerman told him he doesn't have to fight Devin Haney. Devin Haney has the other missing link, the last piece of the puzzle, in order for Tiofimo Lopez to be undisputed. You check it. The man Tiofimo Lopez and his pops, they don't want to fight the man Devin Haney. As a matter of fact, Tiofimo Lopez pop said something to the effect like, I watch film on these fighters, on every single fighter, and if we can beat him, we can beat him, and if we're not, then we can't beat him. That's what the man said, you know what I mean? That was quite telling, and he was basically referring to guys like Devin Haney and Tank Davis, you know what I'm saying? Another thing that Tiofimo Lopez and Tiofimo Lopez pop's been saying, like, if they want to fight, if Devin Haney wants to fight, they got to pay the man, 10 or 20 million? Something astronomical like that, you know? Now, the difference between Devin Haney and Tiofimo Lopez is not much. Not much. Now, look, Tiofimo Lopez has beat Lomachenko and Richard Comey back-to-back, took 2 straps off of world champions. Got to give him credit for that. No question about it. But how comes he ain't trying to get the last missing link to complete his puzzle? That WBC belt. And some gonna come, you know, some even came in my comment section when I made a video a few weeks ago saying it's imperative that the man that Tiofimo Lopez has to fight the man Devin Haney. Otherwise, people are gonna say that Tiofimo Lopez beat an old man who was fading. And as the days go by, the weeks go by, the months go by, a year goes by, that this guy ain't gonna fight the man Devin Haney, his age mate, somebody, his peer. You know, these guys are around the same age. If this fight doesn't happen, that's what's going to be the narrative. And it's going to be plain to see, you know what I mean? It's going to be quite clear, quite simple. Everybody knows, and if you don't know, in boxing's all about timing. When did you beat such and such? What stage of his career was he at? It's very imperative that we put things in context, because the man Tiofimo Lopez, he's going to be trying to ride this wave on beating the European fighter in the man Lomachenko. Sooner than later, that luster's gonna wear off. Then that even his fans will be saying, "Come on, Slim, you gotta get in there and take that strap off of Devin Haney." Some people, now look, I've heard a lot of people come out here and say that the man Devin Haney hasn't done much, or they want to see him fight somebody before he fights Tiofimo Lopez. Man, we're going to debunk that BS right about now. Tiofimo Lopez holds a WBC franchise belt. That ain't no blood clot world title. It's not. It's not. I don't care what nobody says. It's not. You got to show me the rankings for the WBC franchise belt. Who's next up in line? And if you're going to tell me there's nobody because that belt is made in order to avoid mandatories, then I got you. You know what I mean? I got you. Use your own words against you. You know what I'm saying? The man Tiofimo Lopez is holding a franchise belt. That ain't the same belt Jorge Linares held. It ain't the same belt when he was a WBC champ or Mikey Garcia. You know what I'm saying? Pernell Whitaker when he was at lightweight. These are not the same straps. He's holding a franchise belt. You know what I'm saying? Devin Haney holds a WBC belt. If Devin Haney's easy work or hasn't fought nobody or he can't crack or has, you know what I'm saying, then that should be easy work for the man Tiofimo Lopez. But I guess they see something in this kid that they gotta be paid handsomely. Gotta be compensated for the risk. And that's why they asking for 10 million or 20 million. Something absurd, you know what I mean? Tiofimo Lopez just made his first $1 million when he fought the man Vasil Lomachenko. Hoop-de-doo. Devin Haney makes $1 million regardless who he fights, you know what I mean? And we're going to mostly stick to Devin Haney, even though the man Tiofimo Lopez right now is talking about it don't make sense to fight the man Gervonta Davis. Let's put it like this, right? We already know that this fight right here between Devin Haney and Tiofimo Lopez will be for undisputed. Okay? You see, this is what's wrong when these fighters get to take a couple straps off of one person. You know what I mean? Rather than going through the gauntlet, getting them one by one, working your way to gain these titles. You know, Andre Ward did the same diva bullshit when he beat Kovalev. I remember, I was on these YouTube streets, 2016, 2017, when Andre Ward beat Kovalev, beat him twice. The first fight's controversial. He arguably lost that fight. Okay? He beat him in the second fight. He stopped him. Great. Look what Andre Ward did. He sat on his laurels after that, and he said he ain't got to do nothing else. He had needed one more strap to become undisputed, and that was against Adonis Stevenson, who held the WBC belt at that time. And he was the longest reigning champion at the time when, by that time when Andre Ward had defeated Kovalev, and they just needed to make one more fight for undisputed. You know what I'm saying? That's what's wrong with these boxers, you know? They get on some high horse diva shit. They not telling the world that they beat Kovalev. Yes, Kovalev's the same man who ducked Adonis Stevenson twice. Ducked up out of 2 purse bids in order not to face the man, Adonis Stevenson. You check it? And that's what I'm talking about. When these fighters get these straps off of a particular fighter, they feel they don't need to fight nobody else. Even though there's an undisputed fight that's right there in the present, right there in front of them. You know what I mean? You check it, and that's what happened with the man Andre Ward. He robbed us of not having an undisputed fight at light heavyweight. You know what I'm saying? You check it, ducking Adonis Stevenson. By the time he retired, he had been ducking him since 2013. And you could come and say what you want. I got the facts. I got the receipts, Playboy. You already know what time it is with the man Andre Ward, how he got up out the game with one fight left. He watched that man Bud Crawford beat Ndongo and told the man Bud Crawford, you make me want to go out there and become undisputed. That's what he said. Gave us a lot of hope that he's going to try and make the fight with Adonis. Then he got the F up out the game, retired. Good riddance, man. Nobody misses you, Slim. I'm trying to tell you, dogs. Nobody misses you. When the man Bud Crawford and Ndongo had to make a fight for undisputed, there wasn't no barriers. Bud Crawford and Ndongo wasn't talking about A-side BS. Maybe because Ndongo knew that he's going to come to America and fight for undisputed against the pound-for-pound best fighter in boxing. That was good enough for him. That's all he needed, incentive for him to make that fight happen. You check it, this is what I realized. And I forgot to mention, when I was pushing for Adonis Stevenson versus Andre Ward, don't you know I got resistance? I got a lot of backlash for trying to make that fight happen. Not like I could make it happen, but as far as pushing for it, man, for undisputed, people didn't have the same energy for Bud Crawford versus Ndongo for undisputed. Alexander Usyk and Tony Bellew for undisputed. Nobody had resistance for them fights, no backlash. But when I was talking about Andre Ward versus Adonis, I guess people liked Andre Ward. Not so much because they loved him. There was some people out here talking about, so at that time, he's my favorite fighter. But I'd been listening to their channels the whole time. That wasn't their favorite fighter. He was only their favorite fighter because he beat the racist white boy in Kovalev. You know what I mean? But that's neither here nor there. My point is, when people have a fighter that they like, they don't want to see him taking no risks. And that's what's going on with Tiofimo Lopez. They don't want to see him take no risks versus Devin Haney. Why? I have no idea. I guess they're not fans of boxing. They fans of Tiofimo Lopez. Tiofimo Lopez is the biggest diva in boxing right now. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna fight his mandatory, the Cambosa guy, and I'm not one guy to be faking on mandatories. You got world titles, you gotta fight your mandatories. You know what I mean? But Bud Crawford and Ndongo had mandatories. But they let the sanctioning bodies let him bypass the Mandos and get that fight popping. The WBA ain't do the same for Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua, especially when they said that the man Joshua got to fight the man Povetkin immediately, otherwise he'll get stripped of that strap. So the sanctioning bodies also, help these guys maneuver and duck fighters. You know what I'm saying? Now, man, like I said, Tiofimo Lopez, I guess now he has a newfound fan base, and they don't want him to fight the man Devin Haney. They say Devin Haney hasn't fought anybody. They listen to Max Kellerman saying Tiofimo Lopez don't need to fight anybody. He's the man at lightweight. Okay, you see, I don't roll with that. I don't subscribe to that BS, and we flushing that shit down the toilet. You know what I mean? Because that's some BS, and that shit's for the birds. You know what I mean? Now let's get into Errol Spence. Errol Spence talking about Bud Crawford 70-30. Want to give the man 70-30, you know what I mean? Not realizing that the man Bud Crawford, if the man fights him, if Errol Spence fights Bud Crawford, he'll get the biggest payday of his career. And that's a fact. And vice versa for the man Bud Crawford. Bud Crawford clears $3 million per fight regardless who he fights. The man Errol Spence did a whole blood clot pay-per-view, and he's barely scratching the surface of $3 million. You know what I'm saying? What does that mean? His guarantee is like $1.5 million. Then he gets pay-per-view incentive. That don't mean nothing at the end of the day, because Bud Crawford is a 3 different weight class champion, undisputed at 140, 2-time lineal champion. The man has held 1, 4, 5 straps total in his career compared to the man Errol Spence. You know, some people gonna say, what has Bud done at welterweight? Well, what has the man Errol Spence done in his whole career compared to the man Bud Crawford as far as achievements, accolades, fighting everybody in his division? The man Errol Spence is acting like a diva, man. He's acting like a diva, like he don't want no smoke with the man Bud Crawford. When fellas is talking that 70-30 shit, them fellas don't want no parts of Bud Crawford. That's how I see it. He wants to get paid a king's ransom, get paid handsomely well in order to risk his two straps. You know what I mean? These guys want Manny Pacquiao. That's Bud Crawford and Errol Spence. I've said it before and I'll say it a million times. But Pacquiao should tell both of them to fuck off. Y'all fellas ain't fighting me until you fight each other. Straight up and down. That's what they need to do. These guys are over 30 now, and they not trying to fight each other. And especially the man Errol Spence, you know what I mean? Not even leaving any type of room for negotiation when you insult the man by saying 70-30. You know what I mean? You check it. So Errol Spence, I don't know who else there is for him to fight. He's looking for a Cannoli fight. Good, go fight Cannoli and you'll get given the same treatment that Kell Brook did versus Golovkin or Amir Khan did versus Cannoli. Go ahead. Or Rigondeaux versus the man Lomachenko. Go ahead and go up there. You'll get your fattest payday of your career, but you ain't going to be telling that man Cannoli you're the A-side. You know what I'm saying? That's what you're not going to do. You know, the man hasn't even done 500,000 pay-per-view sales. You know what I mean? But you're talking about the A-side like Manny Pacquiao don't exist in that division, you know? And that's why I'm not with these guys, Errol Spence and Tiofimo Lopez and the BS they talking, this A-side stuff and just depriving us of fights, but they'll fight guys who are not as good as the fighters that we want to see them fight, you know what I mean? So at the end of the day, these are two biggest divas, and these guys, both of them are holding this sport back. You know what I mean? You check it. They want to get paid handsome, big prize fight money for taking low risks. You know what I'm saying? And that's exactly what Tiofimo Lopez and them been saying out of his mouth. I'm not going to get so much into him versus Tank Davis because he's been talking crazy about Tank, because at the moment right now I'm a boxing fan and I want to see undisputed. And to me the best fight to be made in boxing is Errol Spence versus Bud Crawford. But Errol Spence is putting putting a monkey wrench in the game by not trying to fight that man talking about 70-30. You know what I'm saying? Where else does the man Errol Spence sell out at? Does he sell out anywhere else besides Dallas, Texas? No. Does Bud Crawford sell out anywhere else besides Omaha, Nebraska? No. So and those two cities, no, that's Oklahoma. Excuse me, I'll take that back. These guys need to get it popping. Everybody needs to fight each other for 2021 and stop being on this diva bullshit, man. Y'all fellas' name ain't Patti LaBelle and Gladys Knight, so stop that BS. B Marsh Boxing. Leave your thoughts and comments, and I'm going to catch y'all on the next one. I'm gone.